Thank you, Andreas. My name is Brhel. I'm Managing Director of Simba. And they gave me a very small time slot to introduce Simba because 20 minutes are passing very fast. We are, since 1989, the year where we were founded, partner of InterSystems, that's first of all. We started as a specialized accounting software for tax consultants, but our range of customers gets wider and wider. Nowadays, we are serving social facilities, churches, industry, retailers, all you can imagine. We have more than 3,000 customers at present, and the main thing is people and customers trust us to handle their figures, to handle their tax declarations, and handle their financial statements. So the most important thing for us is reliability and accuracy. And that's the reason why we are partner of InterSystems. And the technical topics are presented from my CTO and from our head of database, Jennifer Hack and Jochen Deubner. And it's your turn now, guys.
Okay, thank you, Michael. So just a warm welcome from my side. Today we're talking about IRIS migration, and this is our agenda. We already talked about the company profile, and what we would like to talk about is kind of progress and process we made. So we did a pre-planning and a migration planning, and we used in-place conversion for migrating to IRIS. We will talk about that. And we will also talk about some migration issues and give a summary in the end. So first of all, before starting, I would like to ask a question. Whom of you already migrated to IRIS in here? Okay, not that many. So it should be interesting for you how we did it. And we go to our starting point in 2020 and 2021. We made some kind of inventory view. And this is also what I would like to recommend to anybody. Just know where you are in order to define steps towards your goal. So what we did is we used our calling home function in the software in order to figure out the IT environments outside. And what we got is all of our customers have been on Cache 2017.2, which is important because in-place conversion needs 2017.1. So we had to go in there. We already know that we have a lot of self-hosted systems, but we have also data center hosted ones. And what's important, we have a massive amount of single place installations. Our database sizes in field vary from around 20 gigabyte up to 4 terabyte, which is important for migration time frame. And we had to keep in mind that we use .NET binding between our graphical user interface client and the database backend. So what has driven us to migrate? Well, one could say because InterSystems told us to, but that's not true. We had some major points why we did it. So one's been a technical need. We've been in a project that used TLS 1.3, and we needed support for this, calling REST web services. And the second has been, we wanted to enable our customers to use AI functionality. And therefore, we wanted to use integrated ML to create that, for example, for liquidity forecasts. So that's been the major drivers for us migrating. So keeping that in mind, our primary goal has been a seamless automated migration process. So it's been clear that migration needs to be integrated in our standard updates. We do have an update period of 1 year, so we do have one major update during a year at the beginning of the year and 4 to 5 minor updates during the year. And it's been clear that we wanted to have migration being done between this cycle of 1 year, so between 2 major upgrades. So we got in contact with InterSystems, sales and support department. We worked closely together, and we did kind of tranche planning based on our license volumes. But we also did an accompanied process for specific customer sites, and this is what I would also like to recommend to anybody of you, because just accompanying them manually, you get some idea of what you face perhaps in terms of IT structures outside. And you get perhaps some idea of what you're facing, what problems you're probably facing, and you can adapt your process to that. And we had some regular status and monitoring calls together with InterSystems during the whole year. So how did we do this technically? As we wanted to use in-place conversion, we wanted it to be an integrated part of our WIX installer. We integrated that, and we already flagged customers for certain updates in order to being upgraded to IRIS. So we had an automated FTP download of the appropriate installer. They've been selected out of the tranche planning. And we did an automated portal license download in there. And our main goal was to minimize the differences between our normal update and the conversion-enabled update. And I think we did pretty well. That's been gone through, and we had some customers afterwards just calling our support department, and that's been kind of interesting because they called for other reasons. So they had some issues with the software, and they called support department, and they said, well, I think that's somehow related to the cache cube. It's gone. I don't see it anymore. And our support department had to tell them, no, look, there's another icon down there, and your database already been upgraded. And they were astonished because they didn't notice about that. And that just confirmed that we did this correctly. And we had a pre-information system, so we were able to inform our customers via a software system, so they were aware of that they are upgraded at a certain time. What we've seen is we had fast conversion times. They averaged around 10 to 15 minutes, and as our standard upgrade just takes around 15 to 20 minutes, that's been no issue for the customers. We had no major downtimes, and that worked for the whole range of Windows system environments. And we had an additional benefit while integrating it as part of our WIX installer. We had logic integrated in there, so from now on, we are able to seamlessly upgrade from any IRIS to any IRIS release in the future. So I would like to hand over to my colleague Jenny, and she will just talk about some migration issues. There were some, but there are some things you have to be aware of while migrating.
Yes, right. I have some points about the technical migration issues we had in this year. So when you don't have the 2017.2, you have to update from cache 2017.1 or later. We had some code artifact changes in this year, but I think it was done in some days. I think that was not so much. Everything you named with cache, you have to name in IRIS and so on. You know all the message dictionary and so on. And then we had some changes on our version control system. We had one with the cache classes we export to. And when we have IRIS-only features, we export it in a separate directory. And when we produce the update database, we first do the cache database. And then we produce after this the IRIS database on it and compile it again. So we had, at the end, two databases, one with cache and one with the IRIS features with the IRIS database. And then we have one component at the server. This is also only capsule-oriented programming, and so we don't have to do any changes on our clients. This server component handles all the connections to the database and makes the requests and the responses, and when there are IRIS-only types, they migrate it to some integer or some similar types the client knows. And then we have to brief our support for all of this. The C console is now messages.log and so on. So when our technical support have to look for something technically, he knows where to grab. And then we have to brief our support for the database name. They will change. So the backup processes might change at our customers. And then you have the minimum of 4K databases are not allowed. And when you want to update, you have just before it the global copy. And the last point is, especially in Germany, we have small villages in Germany where the internet is not so good at all. And maybe it's possible to get the DocBook again in our offline version, because the internet is sometimes not here, and we have to look for something in the documentation. So many opinions in our company, they want the DocBook maybe back. And some summary, what we had to do in this year. I think it works pretty well. It's happened like magic. Some customers don't even know they had already updated at this time. So they called our support, like Jochen said, and asked for where the database is gone, and they just updated. And it is almost possible to automate the process completely. And then I think detailed planning help. When you start planning is all of this. Get into close interaction with your InterSystems department as soon as possible. And then we think we just can recommend it. Don't be afraid and just start. Well, thank you for the attention. When you have any questions, we are here the next days, tomorrow, today evening, and now we have some time for some questions. Yes.
The question has been, there's a migration guide provided by InterSystems in the Worldwide Response Center. And yes, we use that as well. And I would encourage everybody to read it, because that's kind of necessary to know where the changes are or have to be made. And so please have a look at Worldwide Response Center. It's available there. Download it, have a look at it, and you get some idea of what code changes you face, things like that. Sure, the question is, did we get in contact with InterSystems regarding license keys? And yes, we did. As I already mentioned, we did a tranche planning, and that tranche planning was closely developed together with InterSystems. So we put up some license keys, because you need new license keys using IRIS. And we set up a process that these license keys are automatically downloaded via our portal, and they got integrated in the upgrade process. So we put that together with InterSystems license department, and that's kind of what I would also encourage you to do, because if you have a broad, wide customer base outside and you have special license key issues there, you should get in contact with InterSystems to figure that out in before.
How big were your tranches?
Pardon?
How big were your tranches?
The tranches, well, they differed, because we made tranches based on the license volumes, they're not even. So we had tranches from around 300 to 700 or 800, I think, kind of that. But it worked well, and okay, yeah. And as I mentioned, I would encourage everybody to just make some checks in before and manually guide some of your customers. So if you select a wide range of IT systems you have outside, you really get some idea of where problems could evolve, and you get them figured out in before, and you get them handled in before. Okay, so thank you very much for joining us.